In the last class, we did discuss about the carrier concentration in intrinsic semiconductor and why that concept was important. We need to know the electrical properties, conductivity, then the resistivity, then we can check out the concentration. All these things require to know the properties and the carrier concentration in semiconductors. Now there are two cases here, intrinsic and extrinsic. Extrinsic is the one wherein we have a doping. So far, we have been considering a general crystal structure, and we were applying it to a concept of quantum mechanics in order to determine the characteristics of electron in single crystal lattice. If we recollect the covalent bonds and so on, the electrons present in the outermost shell, that is the valence shell, only they take part into conduction. The electrons belonging to the innermost shells, they do not take part into any form of conduction. Now, conduction is possible only when the electrons they leave out their position from the valence shell, that is the outermost orbit. And when they're going to leave their position only when they're excited. When they will be excited, when they are subjected to some external energy. How this external energy can be provided? By some thermal, meaning by providing some temperature, or by incidenting some kind of light, or by incidenting some kind of any other energy. Okay, so we can dislocate these electrons from the outermost orbit, and then eventually they move into the conduction band. When they move into the conduction band, they are referred to as free electrons, and the free electrons constitute the current. Okay, higher the number of free electrons, more will be the current. And right from the first lecture, the very first statement we had started, the current I is equal to N into E into A into VD. Then we had discussed which are the terms and so on. Okay. In the last lecture, that is lecture number 5, uh, we applied this concept specifically to semiconductor material. Okay. In particular, we had used the density of quantum states in the conduction band and the quantum states in the valence band along with the Fermi-Dirac probability function. And why we did so? To determine the concentration of electrons in the conduction band and the valence band as well, actually. Okay. Now, we had also applied the concept of Fermi energy to the semiconductor material. So, this is just the revision slide. Uh, why this concept is important? To understand or to determine the electrical properties of semiconductors. And which are the electrical properties? Conductivity and resistivity. These are the most important. In case of insulators, the resistivity is high. In case of semiconductor, the conductivity has to be high. Fine. Conductivity is given by this notation, sigma. And since we are just simply talking about the electrons, so it is sigma subscript. This is referred to as subscript n into E, the charge of an electron, 1.6 into 10 to the power 19 coulombs, and the mobility. So mobility is different for silicon and germanium, and it is different for holes and electron as well. Okay. Now to understand this concept, we had revised what is Fermi-Dirac, a Fermi-Dirac distribution function. It tells you the probability of having electrons in the density states. Now, what are these density states? We have a valence band, this we had discussed previously, and we have the conduction band. Actually, we have to draw the horizontal line. These are energy levels. Fine. These are energy levels. A single electron can occupy single energy level. Fine. Now, there is band gap. No electrons can exist in this region. So this is called as forbidden energy level. Now, what this Fermi-Dirac distribution tells us? It is a probability function that will tell us whether there are electrons present at that many energy levels. So for example, if I consider this as one energy level, okay, this is one energy level. Now we're going to come across one equation that will tell us at this energy level whether or the probability of presence of electron, meaning electron is present or not at this level, and that is provided by this Fermi-Dirac distribution function. So there are two things involved here. There are density of states, okay, different energy levels, and whether this energy level, any of this energy level, is occupied with electron or not. That is provided or that is validated by this Fermi-Dirac distribution function. Okay, okay, and then electron and hole concentration at equilibrium. And finally, we had derived this equation, fine, where electron concentration for n-type semiconductor. Electrons are majority carriers in n-type semiconductor. So n-type semiconductor, the electrons are majority carriers. Now at thermal equilibrium, we are denoting it as O, NO. So here, electrons at thermal equilibrium. Now what we mean by thermal equilibrium, the temperature is kept constant during this entire process. Why we need to keep the temperature constant? Because you know the number of free electrons in the conduction band is purely a function of temperature. If I change the temperature, then the electrons, number of electrons is going to get changed. So its thermal equilibrium is Nc into this. So it's purely a function of temperature. And in terms of band diagram here, so I'll just redraw it. This is the energy level. Fine, energy level. Here I'm having conduction band. Here this is valence band. Now, as we have discussed earlier, these are basically different energy states, energy levels. Fine, and they are grouped together. So this is referred to as band. So valence band and conduction band. Now, out of this, all these energy levels, what is of our interest is this energy level of conduction band EC, and this topmost energy level of valence band. Now, understood what is EC? EC is the lowest energy level of conduction band. These are different energy levels. Now, when we go from this direction, okay, the energy level increases. So naturally, this bottom line will have the least energy level in the conduction band. Okay, and here the topmost line, so this is energy level of valence band, will having the highest energy level. Okay, now if the electron has to move into the conduction band, then it has to overcome this much of an energy gap. Okay, so if I have n-type semiconductors, fine, in n-type semiconductors, what we do, we dope the semiconductor that is group 5 element, sorry, group 4 element with group 5 element, and the example is phosphorus. Now to be, if I combine, for example, if you recollect that diagram, if all these atoms are of silicon, then it is referred to as intrinsic. Okay, now in case of extrinsic semiconductors, and if it is n type, then we dope it with phosphorus. Phosphorus, the atomic number is 15. The configuration will be 2 in the first orbit, 8 in the second orbit, and 5 electrons in the outermost orbit. Okay, so all these are silicon. Okay, silicon, and this central one, this atom, we mark it as phosphorus. Now, the innermost electrons, they do not take part into conduction, so we're not going to analyze it. What is left is 5. Fine. Now all these silicon atoms of the neighboring region will have 4 electrons in the outermost orbit. Okay, this silicon will have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, Here, this silicon will again have 4 electron. This silicon will have 4 electron, and so on. When I dope it with the phosphorus, phosphorus has got 5 electrons. Okay, so what it will do, it will share the 4 electrons with the surrounding silicon atoms in the atomic structure, that is lattice structure, and 1 electron will be let free. Okay, now this electron, there are plenty of such electrons, and they're going to have an energy level which is marked as EFN. Okay. Now, if I want to calculate the number of electrons, then I am going to use this as the expression EC minus EFN. This is EFN is basically a Fermi level of N-type semiconductor where the electrons are majority charge carriers. Similarly, for P-type semiconductor that we're going to discuss now, this Fermi level will be near to the valence band. So you know that the current conductivity in semiconductors is due to both holes as well as electrons. Fine. Now, this is very easy to understand. Electrons move from valence band to the conduction band, and still there are excess of electron. Now, these electrons can easily move into the conduction band here. Fine. This energy gap is very less when we dope it. Now, when it comes to the p-type semiconductor, okay, what we do, we dope it with a boron. Fine. Boron is just one example. It can be aluminum, indium, and so on. Now, boron, it belongs to group 3. Fine. So what we do here, we replace the centermost atom with boron. Now, boron has got the configuration as 2, 8, and 3. 2 electrons in the first orbit, 8 electrons in the second orbit. So they are satisfied. So they will not change their position. They will not move out. Remaining 3. Okay. Now, here 3 electrons, one will be shared with the this particular direction atom, second, third. Now, one bond will have a valency created, hole created to begin with. So each, now this is what a boron atom, when I dope it with a intrinsic semiconductor, a hole will be created to begin with. Now there will be plenty of such boron atoms added. So to begin with, we are going to have a Fermi level full of holes. Now, it so happens these electrons in the valence band, they will move from the valence band to the, so there are plenty of holes here, density of holes. So this electron will jump into this, thereby creating holes. So as we have discussed, the current conductivity is due to both holes as well as electrons. So this is how the holes are created. Fine. So this is the expression for, you can note down, donor concentration in N-type semiconductor. Okay. Now we will move on to the hole concentration. Okay. This is about the electron concentration. EC minus EFN. EC is what? See, these notations are very simple, easy to remember. EC is the, E stands for energy, energy of what? Conduction band. So here, just look at the conduction band. EC is the lowest energy level. Fine. Likewise, EFN, E is the energy, F is the Fermi level energy of N-type. So it will be here. For N-type, it shifts towards the conduction band. Now, we always take the higher term first. This has got higher energy as compared to EFN. So this difference will give me the donor concentration in N-type semiconductor. Likewise, if I want to calculate the hole concentration, it will be EVF minus EV, the difference between this. Fine. So with that, we start with today's lecture. That is carrier concentration in intrinsic semiconductors with a p-type doping. So carrier concentration in intrinsic semiconductors, this is continuation of previous class. The number of holes is directly proportional to 1 minus f of EV. Fine. Now, we had discussed in that lecture, the last lecture, that f of e is equal to 1 minus 1 plus, this is just a revision, e minus ef by kt. For intrinsic semiconductor, the Fermi level is right at the center of the forbidden gap that we have discussed last time. Then K is the Boltzmann constant and T is temperature in degree Kelvin. Then we had mentioned that for NO, the concentration of electrons is directly proportional to in the valence band. So it is a probability function. So 1 minus f of EV will be directly proportional to the concentration of hole. So I can write this as P naught equals to NV into 1 minus f of EV. Okay. Now what is NV? Now there are two things involved here. One is the energy density of states in the valence band. Now the derivation of this equation is not important. Fine. You have to memorize this per centimeter cube of hole. Now, when we solve this numerical, you'll actually understand what is MP, what is MT, and how it is affecting the energy density states, NV. Fine. Now, again, it is a product of this and this term. So, NV is what? Energy density states. How many states are possible, and what is the existence of charge carrier in that particular energy level? We know that f of E Fermi Dirac distribution is 1 upon 1 plus e raised to e minus ef by kt. If you have revised the last lecture, okay, we had taken three cases: e very much greater than ef, e equal to ef, and e less than ef. This is the reference Fermi level. Okay, when e is less than ef, when e is less than ef, then what is the concentration of electrons here? It will be 1. That is 100% chances are that the electrons will be over here. That is E is less than EF. What if I take E equal to EF? If I take in this equation E equal to EF, meaning this is variable, this is fixed, this is fixed right at the center, intrinsic. Okay, this is the variable energy level which can move on this axis. When I take E equals to EF, then this term equals to 0. Anything raised to 0 is 1. So the probability is 1 by 2. That means the probability of having electron here is 50%. Okay. And if E is very much greater as compared to EF, then the probability is 0. Fine. Because all the electrons are concentrated in valence band. Now, let us substitute this from valence band point of view. I hope you people are understanding this. I'm going very slow. So f of EV, what I need to do is I just need to substitute the, instead of E, I'm going to write EV. Now what is EV? EV is actually the topmost of energy band. Fine. So 1 upon 1 plus EV minus EF by KT. What we are interested is 1 minus F of EV. If you recollect that diagram, okay, if the temperature is constant, if the temperature increases, this is what I am going to get. This portion is f of EV, and here this region is 1 minus f of EV. Okay, together the sum of probability is equal to 1. Now if you refer to the energy band diagram, okay, here is the energy band diagram, and You know, EF is very much greater. EF is the Fermi level. This is a reference, okay? Reference energy level. Now, this reference energy level is right at the center of conduction band and the valence band, okay? Now, looking at this figure, you can say that EF, fine, is greater than EV. What is EV? Is the energy of the valence band. So topmost energy level. We have marked this earlier, isn't it? EC and EV. Now, so if we take EF here, now try to analyze this from the equation point of view. If EF is greater than EV, that means the exponential term will be small as compared to 1. This is negative, isn't it? Here, see, this is I'm taking EF greater than EV. Now, this will have some, effect on this equation. And what is that reflection here? EF is greater than EV. This is greater as compared to this. So this is negative value. Okay. That means the exponential term, this exponential term will be small as compared to this one. Okay. So what we do is take the LCM. Fine. So I can write this as 1 plus, take the LCM, 1 plus EV minus EF divided KT minus 1 upon 1 plus e raised to EV minus EF by KT. EV is very much less than EF. So this entire term, okay, will be neglected as compared to 1. So I can write the equation as E, 1 and 1 gets cancelled, e raised to EV minus EF by KT. This implies 1 minus f of EV, because what we're actually interested in finding this term here. So let me write it in terms of 1 minus f of EV. So it will be equal to e raised to minus, so look at this term. So it will be minus of EF minus EV by KT. So there's nothing to by heart here. You have to just get used to these notations, and some simple substitutions. Now I'll just write it again. We have the concentration of holes is equal to the product of the density states into 1 minus f of EV. Okay, and P naught is NV. We have calculated this value from the previous slide. It is e raised to minus EF minus EV by KT. Mark this as expression 2. Now, what is this expression? So, whichever equation I'm putting in box, they are important from the numericals point of view. Now, this is the expression. I'll write here. This is the expression for hole concentration. Per centimeter cube. Fine. Now, if it is p-type semiconductor, if it is p-type semiconductor, now in case of p-type semiconductor, the concentration of holes, okay, is equal to Na is acceptor concentration. Now try to understand this. Now we have Nd plus P equals to Na plus N. Now what is so special about this expression Nd plus P equals to Na plus N? Now Nd is the concentration, Nd is the concentration of donor atoms. And which are the donor atoms? Phosphorus and so on. Fine. They are donating the electrons. So they are referred to as donor atoms. Fine. What is Na? Is the Na is the concentration of acceptor atoms. Fine. Now let me explain you this expression. What it says is that the electrical neutrality is satisfied by semiconductors, or also observed. Now what is electrical neutrality? The number of positive charges is equal to number of negative charges. Atom is electrically neutral. What is the meaning of this statement? If it is silicon, silicon will have 14 electrons and 14 protons. Fine, so it is electrically neutral. Positive charges is equal to negative charges. Fine. Now, when it comes to a phosphorus here, phosphorus is a donor, okay, pentavalent, N-type semiconductor. So what it happens is it is donating the electron. Fine. Out of the 5 electrons in the outermost orbit, what it does is it is donating the electron. So if it is donating the electron, that means the negative charge will be more as compared, sorry, the positive charge will be more as compared to negative charge. Understanding this point, the concentration of donor atoms, donor is a phosphorus, it has got 5 electrons in the outermost orbital fit into a crystal lattice structure. It is donating 1 electron. If it is donating 1 electron, that means the net positive charge will be more. So Nd is taken to be as positive. P stands for the hole concentration, and you know holes are taken to be as positive element. Okay, electrons are negatively charged, so it's a negative element. Now, what about this acceptor Na? These are ions, immobile ions. For example, if I talk about the boron, boron has got 3 electrons in the outermost orbit, and there is one valency, isn't it? So what happens? Any of the neighboring electrons upon excitation can jump into this hole. So what will happen? Earlier, this boron was electrically neutral. Now, it has accommodated another electron in its vicinity. So its overall charge will be negative now because it has accepted one extra electron. So Na is the acceptor. Fine. An acceptor, the net negative charge will be more because one extra addition of electron is there. So it will be treated as negative. Fine. Now, what we say in semiconductors, the net positive charge is equal to net negative charge. Now it is clear. Number of holes plus the concentration of immobile ions, that is donors, basically atoms, is equal to Na. Na is what? Acceptor atom, ions, that is boron, and number of electrons. I hope this is clear. Nd plus P is equal to Na plus N. Now, if I take p-type semiconductors, okay, if I take p-type semiconductor, then we don't have any donor. Fine, they are all acceptors, isn't it? They are all acceptors. So if I feed these values in this equation, what I'm going to get is Nd is 0 because p-type is boron. It is acceptor. It is not going to donate. No? So Nd equals to 0 plus p is equal to Na. See, this is the number of boron atoms plus n. Fine. But now you know in p-type semiconductors, the number of holes is very much greater as compared to number of electrons because the majority charge carriers here is holes. So I can write P naught at some equilibrium equals to Na. Clear? So I can write this as instead of P naught, now I'm going to write this is expression Na. Na equals to, and then rewrite as it E of P, fine, minus EV by KT. Why E of P? Because now in this case, we are considering the Fermi level of p-type semiconductor, valence band, conduction band. So Fermi level will be here, E of P, and this is EV. Fine. Now let us rearrange this expression. E of P minus of EV by KT equals to natural log of, to get rid of this E term, Na by NV. Okay. So E of P minus EV equals to KT natural log NV by Na. This is the shift in the Fermi level. EFP minus EV. Again the notation. What is EFP? EFP is this here. So in case of p-type semiconductor, the Fermi level is a valence band. In case of n-type semiconductor, the Fermi level is near to the conduction band. Why they are near to the conduction band? Why they are near to the valence band, that we have discussed. Fine. The reference is normally EF, that is Fermi level, which is right at the center. This is the reference. Okay. Now, if I want to check out the shift in the Fermi level will be EFP minus EV. This is the shift in the Fermi level. Or EV equals to KT ln NV. NV is what? The number of energy density states. How many states are available in the valence band, divided by Na is what? The concentration of holes in p-type semiconductor. So this is another way to represent this expression. Now, for intrinsic semiconductor, the number of electrons is equal to number of holes is equal to Ni. That is intrinsic concentration. Here we have the conduction band and we have the valence band. If say the 10 electrons are moving from valence band to the conduction band, the number of electrons here will be 10, leaving behind 10 holes. Okay. So N equals to P for intrinsic semiconductor, which is given as Ni, intrinsic concentration. Okay. Now, here, what is N? Last class, we have derived the equation for N. Today's lecture, we have derived the equation for P. Fine. At some equilibrium, without changing the external parameters, it is at thermal equilibrium. Okay. At thermal equilibrium, N equals to P equals to Ni. What is N? This we have derived in the previous class. It is Nc into e raised to minus Ec minus Ef by Kt, which equals to P naught. And what is P naught? P naught is this expression, which is nothing but Nv into minus of Ef minus Ev by kT. We have to find the Fermi level in the intrinsic semiconductor. So we have to replace this EF is equal to intrinsic semiconductor, or we can simply write this as EI. Understood? It is right at the center. So we can write this Fermi level. This is the reference quantity. The Fermi level is good as intrinsic Fermi level. Next, if we take right here Nc by Nv from this expression. Okay, we have this expression. Now I'm taking Nc by Nv. I can write this as, I can group the all the terms which are raised to E. So it is minus, you can note this down, EV by KT plus EC minus EF by KT. So I can write this as NC by NV equals to E raised to minus of minus EF and minus EF. So it is 2. So I'm taking this as intrinsic concentration, 2 EF5, then plus EC, okay, and minus, no, sorry, plus EV divided by KT. Now, taking the natural log, I can write this as minus of 2 EFI plus EC plus EV divided by KT into natural log NC by NV. Fine. Now, what we're interested is in finding the value of EFI, okay, or it is also referred to as EI, intrinsic Fermi level. Now, to get that, we have to separate this out. I can write this as EC plus EV equal to natural log of NC by NV. Okay, so I can write this as 2 EFI by KT is equal to EC plus EV by KT minus natural log of NC by NV, or EFI dividing throughout by 2 EC plus EV. Yeah, KT will be there, KT ln. So this gets cancelled. EC plus EV by 2 minus KT by 2 natural log of NC by NV. Now, what is this EFI? Okay, it is the intrinsic Fermi level. Intrinsic Fermi level, or simply we write this as EI. Okay, so EI equals to EFI equals to EC plus EV by 2 minus KT by 2 natural log of NC by NV. Now, if NC equals to NV, now this is provided only when the Mn equals to Mp, the mass of the electrons equal to mass of holes, then the energy density states are same. Then we can write EI, that is EFI equals to EC plus EV by 2. Now, if you see, each and every derivation has got final equation. Now, what we can interpret from this equation? There are how many terms? 3 terms: EFI, EC, and EV. Now, you visualize what is EC. is the lowest energy level of conduction band. Fine. What is EV? Is the highest, this EC, highest energy level of valence band. So the average of two EC by E will be EI. So what it tells you, what we have derived in fact here is that from this analysis, from this numerical analysis, we can say, mathematical analysis, in fact, we can say that the Fermi level in case of intrinsic semiconductor lies at the center. See, this is what we have already discussed when we plotted the energy band diagram, that the Fermi level lies at the center of band gap, that is middle of energy gap here, EC plus EV by 2. This holds true only for intrinsic semiconductor. Clear? I hope this is clear to all. Okay, now next, now we will find out the intrinsic carrier concentration. So intrinsic carrier concentration. N naught we already derived in the last class. It is NC into e raised to minus of EC minus EF by KT. Okay, which is equal to Ni, intrinsic concentration. Fine. And the whole concentration at equilibrium equals to NV E minus EF minus EV by KT. See now, these things look like complicated. What was the objective here? Right in the beginning, we have stated we are actually trying to find out the electrical parameters such as conductivity and resistivity, for which we need to know the concentration. Concentration meaning the quantity present in conduction band, valence band, and so on. Now, electrons, the number of electrons will depend on what? It is a product of NC into this. NC is what? Energy density state, meaning different levels. And whether this density, that level, is occupied by electron or not is given by Fermi-Dirac function. This is what we have calculated so far. Meaning, if I draw the conduction band and this is the valence band, let us mark what is EC. Again, EC is the lowermost energy of conduction band. What is EV here is the highest and topmost energy level of valence band. If I want to calculate the concentration NO, so it will be EC minus EF, and here P naught will be function of EF minus of EV. So this EC minus EF. EC is at higher potential, at higher level as compared to EF, and for holes EF, this is the EF, which is at higher relative energy level as compared to EV. Fine. Try to interpret the equations. That's the most important thing. And which is equals to Pi. Now we can write Ni equals to Nc e raised to minus Ec minus Ei by Kt. This EF in case of intrinsic semiconductor, as we have discussed, can be represented as EFI, Fermi level of intrinsic semiconductor, or we can simply write it as EI. Okay, so here I am denoting this EF as EI. Likewise, Pi will be equal to NV e raised to EF. EF is EFI, that is EI minus of EV by KT. Now, we know that the product of electrons and holes equals to Ni square from mass section law. So just substitute This is for extrinsic semiconductor, product of Nc into, I'll just write the equation as it is, E of minus, sorry, this is EC here, EC minus E of by KT into P naught. P naught is NV e raised to E of minus of EV by KT, which equals to Ni square here. Product of N naught P naught, I'm going to substitute in this equation. Fine. So Ni square is equal to Nc into Nv e raised to minus of Ec plus Ev by Kt. This is minus of Ef and this is minus of Ef, that is plus Ef. It will cancel out. So we can write Ni square as Nc into Nv into, and what is this? I can also write this as Nc into Nv into e raised to minus of, I'm taking the minus common, so it is Ec and plus I am representing as minus of minus Ev, understood, divided by Kt. Now from our fundamental discussion, what is Ec minus Ev here? Right from the second lecture, what is Ec minus Ev? Is nothing but energy band gap, that is minus of E into G divided by KT. Clear? Now this E value, as we have discussed earlier beginning of the class, it is given as 4.82 into 10 to the power 15 into mn by m raised to 3 by 2, and nv, this is for nc, and similarly we can write for nv, energy density states. Objective is to find out the number of charge carriers, and how do we find out it? By using some product equation. What is the product? Energy density states and Fermi Dirac. Energy density states will tell you the number of density states, and this Fermi Dirac distribution will tell you whether these electrons are occupying these density states or not. And overall we are going to find out the number of charge carriers. Nv is 4.82 to 10 to the power 15, here it is holds raised to 3 by 2 t 3 by 2 into e raised to what? Minus eg by kt, minus eg by kt. Clear? So this term here, this term and this term, okay, I can take it as constant, and I can write it as a naught square into t raised to 3 by 2, separately I'm writing, into e raised to minus eg by kt. Okay, now this is product, so t into 3 by 2 and t into 3 by 2, so t into 3 by 2 raised to the power 2, 2 and 2 will get cancelled, and this is what Ni square. So from this I can easily derive the concentration of intrinsic semiconductor Ni. Square root, if I take, it is a naught t raised to, again, 3 by 2 into e raised to minus eg by 2 kt. Okay, this is the all important equation. Another thing you can notice here is from this discussion, Ni square, Ni square is directly proportional to the temperature. Understood? So as the temperature increases, uh, for every cube, it is getting doubled. Ni square is directly proportional to the temperature in degree Kelvin. Now, with that, we have come to an end of this part of intrinsic carrier concentration. Now, what I expect of you is, you to solve this derivation by yourself. Electrical neutrality. See, if I'm having a copper wire, I'm connecting it to a 5 volts. What will happen is, say for example, 100 or say 100 electrons are entering into this end, and they will be coming out from here. This 100 electron. This is how the circuit is getting completed. Fine. But if I take another case, say 100 electrons are entering, but only 50 are coming out of it. That means 50 will be lying inside. So then we say it is charged. Okay. Now electrical neutrality is satisfied by semiconductor as well. That is, I'll write here, total positive charge is equal to total negative charge. Fine. Now if I talk about the NP doped semiconductor. Okay. So if it is NP doped, then it will have, if it is N type, it will have donors which has donated the electrons, and there will be some minority charge carriers. This is the notation for N type. In N type, majority charge carriers are electrons, isn't it? And when that atom, for example, phosphorus, when it is giving out an electron, what is left behind is higher number of positive charges. Normally, it's the same discussion. If silicon has got 14 number of electrons to 8 comma 4, if it gives out one electron, then the number of positive charges will be more as compared to number of negative charges, that is electron. Number of protons will be more. But overall, this regeneration and recombination is taking place in a single piece of specimen, semiconductor. Then we say it's electrically neutral. If it is p-type semiconductor, it is accepting the electron. It is accepting the electron. So to begin with, it has holes as majority charge carriers. And since it is accepting one more electron, its negative charge will be on the higher side. Plus, there will be one or two minority charge carriers. Fine. So in case of p-type semiconductor, these are acceptor ions. These are holes which are majority charge carriers. These are electrons which are minority charge carrier. There are always some minority charge carrier due to, change in the temperature and so on. If it is p type, they are donating, what they are donating, electron. If they are donating one electron, the net positive charge will be more, and these are referred to as donor ions. These are the electrons which are the majority charge carriers. Electrons as majority. Here the electrons was minority. Okay. And this hole is a minority charge carrier. Here the holes are majority charge carriers. There are only 6 things involved here. Fine. Now the total positive charge is equal to Nd plus P. This donor, they are referred to as, sorry, Nd, acceptor are represented as Na. What else is left? Holes is P, and electrons are N. There are only four quantities: Nd, donor concentration; Na, acceptor concentration; P, number of holes; N, number of electrons. Fine. The number of, in certain cases, this number of donors will be equal to number of electron, because each donor is going to leave out one electron. So number of electrons N will be equal to number of donors. Okay, that we will try to understand now. And total negative charge will be equal to what? Na, acceptor, here negative sign acceptor, plus N. Now we say the total number of positive charge is equal to total number of negative charge, these two terms. So we can write Nd plus P equals to Na plus N. Clear? Okay. Now next, right here, rewrite the equation. Nd plus P equals to Na plus N. What is N? N is electron concentration. This is all negative, and these two terms are positive. Na. Na is concentration of acceptor atoms. P. What is P? Is the whole concentration. And what is Nd? Nd is concentration of donor atoms. Fine. Now total positive charge is Nd plus P. Total negative charge is Na plus N. I'll take two cases. Case 1, consider N-type material. Okay. In case of N-type material, we are going to have donors. The donors which are giving out the electrons. Fine. Since they give out the electron, the net charge will be positive. Fine. And there will be one or two holes. So in case of N-type material, this is Nd, donors. Donors are positive. Electrons are negative. Holes are positive. Fine. So in case of N-type material, there are no acceptor. There are only donors, isn't it? Phosphorus is a donor. Boron is an acceptor. So they are donors. So we don't have any atom, any acceptors. So we can write, substitute here in this expression, we can write Nd plus P equals to N, or Nd equals to N minus P, which can be written as Nd equals to N. Or why we can write Nd equals to N? Because the number of electrons are very much greater as compared to holes here. Number of electrons are very much greater as compared to holes, because the electrons are majority charge carriers and electrons are minority charge carriers. So we can simply write this as Nd is equal to N, subscript N. Now what it means, subscript N? In N-type material, this is N-type. In N-type material, the number of electron is equal to number of donors, naturally, isn't it? Then case 2 for P-type material. For P-type material, we have acceptors, but we don't have donors. It is P-type. In P-type, they are only acceptors, they are not donors. So substitute in this expression, what we get is 0 plus P equals to Na plus N. So we can write Na equals to P minus of N. P is very much greater as compared to N. In case of P-type material, number of holes are more as compared to number of electron. So I can skip this N part. So Na is equal to Pp. Now how do I read this Pp? This is P-type material. Concentration of holes is equal to acceptor atoms of mass action law. Mass action law. What it says, Np is equal to Ni square. From here, I can write the value of N as Nd. So I'll write here. So it is Nn into Pn is equal to Ni square. Same mass action law for N-type material. And we know that Pn is Ni square upon Nn. And what is Nn? It is Nd. Fine. So I can write the number of holes in N-type semiconductor equals to Ni square upon Nd. Similarly, for P-type material, I can write the number of holes, sorry, number of electrons, that is minority charge carriers in P-type material is equal to Ni square upon Na. Okay. Now with this, we have come to an end of this lecture.